Howdy. This is Kevin Stoda. This is the Kevin Stoda channel. I hope you can hear me through my mask. I hope you enjoy the day wherever you're at. I'm trying to reflect on how to begin this conversation. There are wars going on in the United States, and I don't know about other countries, about masks. And some people are very reticent or hate to wear masks. One man lost his job a week ago because he threw a fit in a store because he refused to wear a mask. I think it was at a Costco. And some people filmed him flipping out because people were asking him to wear a mask and to stand so many feet apart, as was the store policy, because in Kansas City and in other cities around the country, you're supposed to wear a mask if you're in the stores. I was in an auto shop just this morning, and the mechanics here in Kansas City are working on them. But I do live in the state of Missouri, so we're seeing this war played out like the Civil War 160 years ago. People are divided. And there's no need for this. We have a leader, Donald Trump, who's made this into a war game instead of trying to save lives game, which you'd normally be very competitive at. Our president is Donald Trump, and he's not out there telling everybody to wear a mask. He's not even wearing a mask himself, often when he's going out. Many of the rallies he's had have had no rules about masks, and social distancing has been de-emphasized up to now. Many people are dying, many people are getting the coronavirus and COVID-19, and no one knows how it will affect you years later or even months later. But people are still faced with a governor, like in governor of Missouri here, Mr. Parsons, who says, people, 21-year-olds, they can fight this virus. They can survive it. They're not dying at the rate the older folks like me are. 50 on up, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, are more likely to die of COVID and its effects. But who knows what it does to your brain? They're not really emphasizing that. These governors who have been opposing the mask. The governor of Texas surprised everybody by finally turning around a week and a half back and saying people should wear masks. But the federal government hasn't made a unified strategy across the United States. Across the border here, about 5 miles, is Kansas. And in Kansas City, Missouri, and Johnson County, and all of Kansas, most everybody is wearing a mask because they have a strange representative called Miss Wagler over there. She fought against the mask and governor's orders that everybody wear masks out in public and social distance as a state law, so they've allowed the counties to make up their own rules. Leavenworth, which is only about a little ways up from Kansas City on the river, the Missouri River, is ignoring the practices. The county organization says they shouldn't, but sure enough, they've had a rise in cases. They blame it on people visiting another area, Base Hoar Park, they claim. In any case, let me tell you about the landscape here in Kansas City, Missouri, where the mayor has had us wear masks in public places again since 2 weeks ago Friday. And it's quite a different world compared to southwestern Missouri, where they're having an exponential rise in cases. I was down in Joplin, Carthage area in the last month, and people are not wearing masks. All the way down in Nevada, we stopped at the truck stop, people do not wear masks. Going into the Walmart, only the Walmart clerk in Joplin was wearing a mask. And I really worry about the people down there. They claim it's a badge of honor not to wear a mask. It's not a red badge of courage. It's a disgrace. The idea of a mask now, everybody who's in the medical field say you should be wearing a mask to protect others, because not too many of people are getting it from airborne infections. They're getting more from sneezing or breathing on other people, and your breath can affect other people several feet away, and then the people can touch themselves or their hands and move it up to their face. And that's why you need to be wearing a mask. I do go into certain neighborhoods in Kansas City where you notice a different trend. The workers in some of the Aldis are not cleaning out the carts and stuff like they used to be when people entered the Aldis, and or providing other clean possibilities where they did before. Some other Aldis are different. It looks like the poorer neighborhoods, they're less likely to have clean Aldis. The same thing for social distancing. We stopped a week ago in a Dollar Tree north of Kansas City, and people were all wearing a mask, which was good. I think it was in Liberty, Missouri. But they were not social distancing. They were very, very close because it was crowded, and they didn't set a limit for how many people were going in. So as you get further from the center of Kansas City, less people are wearing masks. Now, the government of Missouri has done little to help the cities in terms of calling out a state mandate. So we have in the city of Kansas City, where I was at yesterday, the Missouri Licensing or DMV office down off Cleaver Boulevard, Cleaver the 2nd Boulevard, a long line of people outside waiting to get in early in the morning to the small DMV, and I would say there was close to 80 people there, maybe throughout the 3.5-hour wait I was there. There was 100 some people came in. They got their tickets. Some of them left and tried to come back later. Others, like me, stood in line a full 2 hours before we were let inside. In the meantime, I'd already noticed that the male manager of this DMV was not wearing a mask. When I went inside, we found out none of the women or men who were working for the DMV were wearing a mask. So all these people outside were wearing masks to protect them, and the people inside were not wearing a mask to protect the people coming into the place. What does that say, Governor Parsons? It says that you disrespect lives. It says that the Missouri DMV disrespect lives. Can you believe that? Nobody who worked at the DMV was bothering to wear a mask. Meanwhile, there were people who were taking off their mask outside. There were some people who had their mask on their ear. Other people like me, though, had their mask on the whole time when we were in the line outside. And we tried to keep our social distancing. But of course, the whole structure was not made for social distancing because there wasn't shade everywhere for people standing in line. So if you were out in the sun, you were liable to scrunch into an alcove and try to get in the shade with everybody. That meant there were people getting close to each other, and some of these people weren't wearing masks and didn't seem to care. So remember, it's again all about love for one's neighbor. You're trying to take care of them by not spreading something that might have got on you. It could be that you're asymptomatic and you don't show your symptoms, but other people they could be passing it on to you. You could be blowing the same air and blowing it on to the next person, even if it doesn't get in your lungs. Who knows what's going on, because it's still not clear whether it is airborne disease or just breathed upon, that the disease is passing. But it's going through fluids and air, we know that. that it's totally airborne, we don't know. But in the meantime, please, if you're in Missouri, wear a mask. If you're from Carthage, Missouri, where you have an epidemic, wear a mask. If you're from Joplin, where there's an epidemic, wear a mask. If you're across the river in Leavenworth, Kansas, wear a mask. Definitely, if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, where the mayor says to wear a mask and social distance. If you're a business in this whole area, make sure you only allow so many people into the store at a time. Because you can't handle that many people without them breaking all the social distancing guidelines. All right. If you work for the government, set a good example by following the Kansas City, Missouri rules. Even if you work for the state of Missouri, where the governor does not seem to care about young people who could affect old people or young people's future conditions, even if they survive COVID-19 as youngsters. And how can you even sleep at night, Governor Parsons? In the meantime, Ms. Wagler over in Kansas, I ask you the same question. How can you sleep at night when you're trying to let cities like Leavenworth and others get away without wearing masks while the other people are in the state are wearing masks? They're trying to show respect and love for one another. Please support people who do so, like our mayor here, Mr. Parsons. In the meantime, I tell my cousins too, and all the people who are not wearing a mask out in the streets, it's okay if you're 20 feet from people, no problem. But why are you hanging around 3 and 4 feet away from people bumping elbows? Okay, it's just too easy to spread. And we want to live, and we want our children to live. We want to be around to change this, or fight the climate change. We don't want to be worrying about this pandemic for years to come instead of building the green infrastructure we need. So this is the Kevin Stoda channel. I'm Kevin Stoda. Give us a thumbs up if you like us. And of course, subscribe to the Kevin Stoda channel right here if you haven't already. Have a good day. And remember, wear your mask.